in, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We got a full house today. How's it going, gentlemen?
Morning.
My wife's in a kayak right now, getting ready to go down the creek behind my house after the hurricane is coming through right now. So I'm a little worried right now, Bo. She was taking the kayak, but she had her safety equipment on. She had her helmet, her life jacket, and her booties. So I guess she's going to be okay. I'll let you know at the end of the show if she's alive or not.
I feel like probably should have bought a house somewhere else, because since you've bought it, you've had torrential rains and then a lot of sun and then a hurricane. I feel like you just set up shop in hell somewhere.
Yeah, I feel like that. I'm waiting for the 2x2 animals to come on for the ark that I'm currently building, so it's good.
Good stuff.
And it looks like you got a haircut.
I did. I didn't braid it this time, but we're getting there.
Gotcha. So how did everybody do this this past weekend?
I was in your neck of the woods.
For us, we don't have hurricanes currently, so we spent the weekend on the lake. So it was 90 degrees and sunny, and so yeah, overall pretty nice.
Gotcha. It's been sweltering hot here. Sweltering.
Yep. I was in your neck of the woods on Friday, Saturday.
What do you mean?
I was in Washington, Pennsylvania.
Washington is not my neck of the woods.
It's in Pennsylvania.
Well, yeah, that's called Pittsburgh. So anywhere past like Lancaster is called Pennsyltucky. That's a whole different state. Washington, Pennsylvania is nowhere close to us. That's like 4.5, 5-hour drive. I've been to Fort Washington. I know where it's at.
Yeah, that's like when people say that Spokane is close to us. It's it's a 4.5-hour drive. Like, that is not overly, like, it's closer than Denver, sure. But you're not just popping over there.
So did we get a power play? Is that what that is from Jay?
Yeah, no, he looks like he's missing. Looks like he lost power and then poof. So
figures.
Getting on his arc.
Look at him doing some stat guy action.
He's getting some arc. He's getting on the arc. He's got to get that door open for the animals.
That's right.
The hurricane. I thought the hurricane. I guess it's coming up now through. It's going off the coast.
We're getting some of it actually in Wisconsin tomorrow. Not the hurricane itself, but like the rain bands that you always get that come off that. So like all the once it hits land, you have like all those rain bands going up. We're supposed to get those tomorrow into Wednesday all the way up here.
Oh wow.
That's a big.
Hopefully he's safe. How's it going, Win?
Yeah, he said he's on the generator, so.
Oh, I mean, that's cool. That means he'll be able to pop back on in theory. Unless it took power lines down, and then maybe not.
Yeah, I was at the Washington Wild Things in Windy City Thunderbolts on Thursday or Friday, Saturday, which is why I was in Washington, Pennsylvania.
Nice. Good.
How was that?
What?
How was that?
Not good for the Thunderbolts. They got swept, but at least there were two good games. I think the first game was 9-7, and the second game was 11-9.
It's an awful lot of runs.
That's what I was thinking. Is that a good game?
This is a good game if you like offense. I don't like pitchers' duels that much.
I mean, it sounds like they were just pitching batting practice like that.
Well, the Friday, I think wind was blowing out at 30.
Okay.
So it was like anything that went up in the air had a chance to go out.
So then why weren't they hitting the ball up in the air?
Because they had two good pitchers going on the Friday. Saturday, they had two terrible pitchers. So if those pitchers would have pitched on Friday, it would have probably been like 20-20 on Friday.
I gotcha. I was going to say, those scorers make it sound like you didn't have good pitchers out there.
Well, the guy that pitched for Windy City on Friday had a 1.9 ERA, and he gave up 6 runs in 4 innings. And then the guy that Washington had throwing on Friday had like a 2.3, and he gave up all 7 runs in 4 innings. So, like, they had two good pitchers pitching on Friday, and just the wind made them look like crap. But then Saturday, the one guy throwing had an 8.65, and the other guy had like an 11.90. Now, if they would have thrown on Friday, that would have been a 20-20 game.
Well, I mean, I guess if you like offense, that would have been the ideal situation. Hey, there he is.
Tell you what, that generator was the best damn money I ever spent.
At least for this summer, it is.
Right?
Yeah, man, you ain't lying, brother. So what did I miss?
Well, thank God gas prices are low.
Yeah. Oh no, he's not going to make it through this show.
I can tell. But it looks good.
He looks happy. So
Hey,
looks
if
happy
I
to-
go down again, y'all just carry on this show. I don't know if you're gonna like it.
Yeah, listen, we get it. We understand that sometimes it's hurricanes come. They
yep.
come and go, and you know.
Now
such
we've
is life.
all had weather take us out, so no big deal. Although since you're still on, I might as well do this thing. Do you think your Cowboys are going to take a bigger step back than originally thought? Everybody knew they were going to probably take a step back with the salary cap issues and having to let some talent go. But now with all of the big contracts really just not getting done, is this team just prepped to rebuild? Or are they going to take a bigger step back than everybody thought?
Yeah, I absolutely do think they're going to take a step back. I don't know how they're not. I mean, they're so close to the salary cap right now. I think they're just barely up underneath it, and they still talking to you guys. Yeah, there I am. Okay, but yeah, I do think they take a step back. I don't know how they went because, like you said, they got to get Dak under contract, and they still got to deal with CeeDee Lamb and other guys, Michael Parsons and so forth. So I don't know how they don't take a step back. Now, how far they go back, I don't know. I don't know if Jerry can stomach a rebuild going back to like 1989. I think it was the last time they were horrible. So I think they do take a step back.
Do you think you lose Micah Parsons?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there. Either I'm frozen or they're frozen. I think I'm frozen.
No, you're not frozen. We're hearing you.
Yeah,
We're in
you
it.
have your
Yeah.
audio. You were on screen kind of frozen. Oh, now you're gone. Maybe that's just him thinking. It's loading.
That's Jerry Jones' thought process.
Yeah, exactly. Just the buffering wheel. That's it. But yeah, I mean, because they have these contracts looming, it makes you wonder if it's going to be a distraction. So on top of already losing talent, they don't seem to be locking down their guys.
No, they do not, and they have bigger problems. Like they're just going to continue until they get out of this cap hell, which is not just this year; it's next year too.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? They are really in cap hell, so it's going to be a problem for them.
I mean, next year's worse, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way they could avoid that, Bo. They're so close to the salary cap right now with all their major guys. I think Jerry's going to have to come down and say, okay, who do we need to keep to rebuild? If I'm going to rebuild, I'm going to let Dak go. I got to keep Micah because Micah, I think, is a generational guy. So I'm going to probably keep him. He's young enough. I'm going to keep him. And then I'm going to try to work around that as best I possibly can. But they're going to have to take a huge step back. I don't think Jerry has the money to do it, but the cap is, like we said, it's a hard cap. So I think the hard cap forces them to rebuild.
Well, I think where they really run into an issue is whether they let Dak go or not. He's a 60 mil hit on next year's cap.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I mean, all of a sudden, it's really hard to pay those other two big contracts that they need to get done.
Yeah. In that draft, the one that had the Drake May and all of them, I think, in all honesty, I would have given a lot of draft capital to try to move up to get into that type of scenario and try to draft a young quarterback. That would have been my guy in the future, because then you could have let go of Dak and all that money, brought in a younger quarterback, and then really they could have started the rebuild process at that point, or even try to get a Michael Penix, somebody who is somewhat semi-pro ready if you want to try to keep that going, right?
Well, I mean, they weren't going to be able to get up to those, top 3 or 4 guys anyway.
Right.
But if you were looking at one of those later guys, like a Bo Nix or something like that, then I mean, you might as well try and figure out if you have something in a Trey Lance that's already on your roster.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and they're going to have to do that at some point. I mean, I just can't. If I'm Jerry, I would go to the rebuild now. I would rebuild now, try to get back some salary.
Yeah, but how do you start a rebuild when you're cash strapped?
Yeah, I mean, you all of a
Well,
sudden.
I think at that point you're trading. I think you're trading for picks. I think you're getting rid of all the main guys and trading for picks.
He went dark.
Right?
He didn't go poof. He went dark.
Yeah, that makes me think the generator didn't work out either.
No, that tells me that the generator's working fine. He's just it's
This is the future of the Cowboys. It's dark. That's probably like the main breaker popped.
that could be. Well, at least we have a silhouette of his shoulder.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like the it's like the Mona Lisa, but it's called the Dark J.
I did not hear about Jerry selling the franchise. I think that's impossible.
He won't sell the franchise.
Yeah,
He'll
he's not
die.
doing that. He's not
He'll
doing
die,
that.
and then his sons will take it over, and then his son, if anything, will sell it. But he's not selling it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think his son would sell it either.
Why would you? I mean,
Exactly.
it is the most I guess lucrative franchise in all of sports.
Yeah.
It comes with really 2 stadiums.
Yeah,
Because
true.
he still owns the one up in Irvin.
Yeah.
So it's just it's I don't know. I think that you would or Austin. Is it Austin or Irvin?
No, it's Irving.
It's a ring. Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, I mean, it's just like I feel like why would you sell that? You know? Let's see.
Yeah,
in
I mean,
the last 20 years, it's only tripled in price.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it just prints money. I don't know why you would get rid of that.
Right. So, but yeah, I think that, and I think Micah Parsons is gone. I think he disappears.
So do I. Yeah.
To the Eagles,
Honestly,
of all
think
things.
I think they end up having to just drop the pin and blow the whole thing up. Because I mean, if you don't have a quarterback and you're not going to get your corner piece of the defense, do you even mess with keeping CeeDee Lamb? I mean, because why? Why pay a receiver if you don't have a guy to throw him the ball anyway? So I mean, at that point, you
I don't know. You need something to build around.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to go draft heavy anyway, right? And I mean, you can get speed receivers every year now. So I mean, there's always someone. You got to figure out what you're doing at the quarterback position, whether it's trying to see if you can get Trey Lance to stay healthy for a year, or if you're drafting a guy, which ultimately you're not going to be great that year anyway. You got to filter through all of these bad contracts. I mean, because although they're giving Zeke nothing, he's still a cap hit this year. It's the last year that he was a cap hit. So, I mean, it's just there's so much wrong with. Plus, you're going to be getting rid of the coach. I mean, unless they go win a Super Bowl, McCarthy's gone. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's so many parts leaving. It just seems like you might as well just blow the whole thing up and start over.
Plus, I think the moment that Jerry gives it up, somebody's going to have to do that anyways. So whether they try to do this now, starting with Jerry, or they try to do it after Jerry's gone, I would prefer they do it after Jerry's gone because that just means that it's just longer time that the Cowboys suck.
Yeah. I mean, kind of. Just
when you think about it back, like outside of the the NFL, when Dallas was originally in, I guess the AFL, they sucked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So this is going to go back to their old roots.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that I wonder, like it's been very quiet in the Eagles front lately.
That's always encouraging. Like, I don't like a ton of noise around a franchise in the off season because it's always bad and it always has a lingering effect.
The only thing that has been going on that anybody's been talking about with the Eagles has to do with the Giants. And that conversation that was had is that we have a $40 million quarterback who is not going to be handing off to a $12 million running back.
Yes. You better be, because that's the only thing he did well.
But that's too late now.
Well, for sure. But I mean, like, the year he had that was good was because of play action, because you had to respect the fact that Saquon was going to gash your defense. Well, yeah, that helps get guys open. That gives a quarterback time. Most quarterbacks look pretty good if you give them time.
Yeah.
Somebody said something today that I watched. I think it might have been last night or first thing this morning that I saw this video where somebody has said that this team, that the Giants could possibly break the record for least amount of touchdowns scored in a season. The least amount of touchdowns scored in a season for a 16-game season was 14. They may break that doing 17 games.
I actually believe that. Yeah. No, I could see it, especially because I don't think their line is really any better. And as many sacks as they gave up last year, I mean, if Daniel Jones doesn't get hurt, he sets the all-time sack record. He actually finally surpasses that one by Derek Carr, or David Carr, rather. I think he got sacked like 58 times in a season, something like that. But when you think of what Daniel Jones had 3 different games where they gave up double-digit sacks before he got hurt the first time. I mean, he was on a path to set the all-time sack record, and on the wrong side of it. So,
Gaia.
I did have an interesting question that I guess makes sense since we're talking about the Giants. This morning was someone popped in and asked, do you think that Daniel Jones or Drew Lock gives Neighbors the best chance to be successful? I think it's Drew Lock, personally.
Drew Lock.
Just because he throws a better, deeper ball, and as fast as Neighbors is, I think that would be a good fit for him. Obviously, there's still a lot of Daniel Jones believers out there for some reason, but I think Drew Lock actually gives him a better shot.
Yeah.
I think this is the last season that you'll see Daniel Jones in the NFL.
I actually kind of agree with you there.
You may never see him again in the NFL.
I mean, he hasn't put out tape that makes me think he'd even be a good backup.
Actually, I be honest, I feel like he'll become a quarterback's coach somewhere.
I could see that. Yeah.
You know, like this is one of those times where I feel like guys that can't do teach.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like that he's probably got a lot of knowledge.
That's like Josh McCown.
Yeah.
Because Josh McCown was a terrible quarterback, but according to everyone that's worked with him on the coaching staff, they said he's a hell of a quarterback coach.
Right. And
I mean, it makes sense because you know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Look at Doug Peterson. Same situation. He was a terrible quarterback.
He sat behind Brett Favre for 7-8 years, didn't he?
Well, and then he started for the Eagles and then got bumped for McNabb.
Yeah.
I mean, Harbaugh, right?
Harbaugh?
Yeah.
Harbaugh was okay, though.
He was
okay in Chicago. He was okay in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was okay. He wasn't great.
He was a playoff quarterback.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just see – I could see him not being in the league anymore and going and coaching. Just my opinion.
I could see this too, Paul. Point differential. I could see that.
Another former quarterback that I think would be a great quarterback coach that's not one right now is Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Oh, no question. Yeah. If nothing else, it would be a hilarious quarterback room.
It would be great.
Like, I would love to have him on a show or go get a beer with him because I think that would be one of the funniest.
The beer would be the better spot. I remember when he was doing something with Monday Night Football and he was within earshot of me. And I was like, any truth to the fact that the Jets called you up to come back and play after and he looked at me and just laughed and he goes, ain't no fucking chance.
No, see, that guy I would love to go get a beer with. I think it would be hilarious.
I agree. You know, and
plus, I mean, super smart guy. And if you ever did like really dive in on the football side of it, I mean, he played for a third of the franchises, so he could give you some insight to, quite a bit of the league.
But not only that, but he was also very, you have to to lose as many games as he lost in the NFL, you have to be really good. Like they say these things about pitchers in baseball. If you've lost 200 games in baseball, you had to be a really good pitcher. You know
Sure.
what I mean? You could have won 50 and lost 200, and you are a very good pitcher because they kept throwing you out there. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? They kept doing it. So
I think they said that was it 2022 was his last year as a starter.
Yeah, that was the year they yanked him for
Yeah.
Tua, which made no sense.
Yeah, because I think
they were
I
on
think they
path
said
for a
that
playoff run.
that year. I think they said he was like in the top 5 or top 6 among active quarterbacks in touchdown passes. So the guy lost a lot of games, but he still threw for a lot of yards and threw for a lot of touchdowns. So obviously he was good enough to be in the league. It's just he was one of those guys that when he was good, he was really good. But when he was bad, he was making stupid mistakes.
Yeah, well, and he also played for bad teams mostly.
Yeah.
Like he never really had a great team around him, and the one time he did, they yanked him for Tua to miss the playoffs.
Yep.
Because I mean, that team was solidly on path to be a playoff team.
yeah, but they didn't want to be.
No,
That
exactly.
was that year
Brian Flores wanted to be, but Stephen Ross did not want to be.
Yeah,
right.
Because they were 6-2 with the Ryan Fitzpatrick that year, and they were 4-8 without him.
Yeah.
That's the way it works sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they wanted a good draft pick.
I guess I don't know. Like for me, if you can get in the dance, I want to get in there. There's nothing wrong with your rookie sitting a year. We've seen plenty of rookies sit a year and then be better for it.
Well, did you see that thing they showed? It was on a Facebook post yesterday, but it came from somewhere. The last time each franchise started a rookie quarterback.
I did not see that.
So it shows pretty much everybody started a rookie quarterback for the most part within the last 15 years for the most part. And then you have the Green Bay Packers. The last time they started a rookie quarterback was 1987.
And that was Majkowski, was it not?
Yep.
How about that? Look at me knowing my Packer knowledge.
And that just goes to show you like how Bo just said. What's the problem with sitting a rookie quarterback for a year? The Packers not only sit rookie quarterbacks for a year, but sometimes they're sitting for 2, 3, 4 years. Aaron Rodgers sat behind Favre for 4 years. Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years. Favre sat behind Majkowski for a couple of years. Like,
yeah,
Packers have no problem sitting quarterbacks for most
hold
years.
on.
And you can't tell me
they traded. Didn't they trade for Favre?
Yeah, but Favre was a rookie when he was traded, though, for the most part. He played like 2 games with Atlanta and was on the bench behind Chandler, and then they traded for him.
Yeah, but you can't tell me Mahomes didn't benefit from sitting for a year behind Alex Smith either.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like, a lot of these teams think just because you draft a quarterback number 1 overall that you have to play them right away. And there's rare cases, like when Andrew Luck was drafted, he was a guy that you knew was going to start right away just because he had so many intangibles that you knew that he was going to be a good quarterback. And Peyton Manning, same thing. Like, when you drafted him, you knew he was going to start right away. But so many other quarterbacks, when they're drafted number 1 overall, you still have a reliable quarterback in that quarterback room that you get drafted to, that it wouldn't hurt even to sit that quarterback for a half the year, if not the full year behind that guy to learn something.
Yeah.
Like, what's the harm of throwing him out there when you know you're not going to go anywhere that first year anyway?
There's always the pressure, right? Because the fan base will lean on you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we drafted this guy number 1. We were the worst team in the league. We should get him out there and whatever. But I mean, sometimes you just ruin a quarterback by doing that.
Like Bryce Young last year, I think was a prime example. You had Andy Dalton in that room with Bryce Young. What would have hurt you if you would have thrown Andy Dalton out there for the whole year? It's not like you were going to make the playoffs anyways with Bryce Young, but at least Andy Dalton's been in the league for 12 years. He's made the playoffs 7 times with the Bengals. He can at least give Bryce Young a lot of knowledge that would be helpful instead of having Bryce Young get killed his entire rookie season.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, when you think about it from other teams' perspectives, you're like, you see Andy Dalton come out and you're just like, man, because when he's on, he can beat anybody. He ended up getting the start against Seattle, and I was just like, man, if he comes in here, like, come on.
I mean, same thing with the Colts, though, too. Like, granted, Anthony Richardson got hurt.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of talk throughout all offseason, all training camp that Gardner Minshew was going to win that starting job over Anthony Richardson for week 1 just because Minshew's one of those guys that when he's on, he can beat anybody, but then he has those games where he just makes a lot of stupid mistakes, and Minshew kept the Colts in it the entire year.
Yeah, I mean, Minshew is this era Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah.
Like, he's exciting to watch. He's entertaining when you hear him on the mic, and he can win you a game. He can actually play really well, but when he has an off day, like, he's thrown to the other team a lot.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like he should have never have taken over for Nick Foles. I know it was injury related that did it in Jacksonville, but
Yeah.
Jacksonville would have been much further along had they kept Nick Foles in the mix. They
Yeah.
didn't, and they went to Minshew because Minshew was the shiny object, and that's really what he was all about. He was just this big shiny object, and that's not. I don't know. I've not been a Minshew fan.
Well, I mean, I
He
get
had that good.
Like,
He had that good 4-game run in Jacksonville. I think that's where everyone got the attention when Jacksonville
the
was.
Minshew mania.
Yeah, when Jacksonville was 2-8 when Foles got hurt, and all of a sudden Minshew comes in and they go from 2-8 to 6-8, and it's like, whoa, we have something here.
Yeah. No, and
They
that's why-
didn't really, though.
No,
they
They
didn't.
didn't really.
Yeah, they definitely didn't. Like, he's Ryan Fitzpatrick light, right? Like, I feel like Fitzpatrick has more talent than Minshew does,
Mhm.
but there's elements of his game that are similar, and it makes it entertaining. I wouldn't want it for my team, but it does make for entertaining football. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of those.
I mean, I feel like he's a quarterback that's a good distraction.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I feel like he's a good fit for someone else. Like, you wouldn't want him for your team, but he makes the league better being around.
Right. He's, like you said, he's a good distraction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's about it. I would not want him on my team again.
Yeah, fair enough. I forgot you.
He started 3 games, right?
Yeah.
He did start 3 games.
He played
He won
well in
one.
of them.
He won
That
one.
was the game that he played. Did he beat Dallas or did he beat the Giants?
He beat the Jets.
Jets. That's who it was. Okay.
So,
Yeah. Well,
but
I mean,
at the time, the Jets had not beaten us at all, ever in their
Yeah.
history. That's changed now. They've beaten us once
oh yeah,
last year.
that team. I'm curious about. You think?
Who?
Well, let's talk about that after the break here. Let's do our thing. This show brought to you in part by True Fusion Gyms. 3 locations here in the Seattle area, brand new one in University Village, and the existing ones in Bellevue and Ballard. If you use the QR code on the screen, you get a free 5-day pass at any of the locations, Pilates, boot camp, yoga bar. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. All right. There we go. So do you think that Aaron Rodgers actually makes an impact, or you think he's hurt within the first couple weeks?
He'll make an impact one way or another, whether it's in a successful way where he plays all year and the Jets are doing well, or he gets hurt early again. He's going to make an impact regardless. It just depends on what way the impact goes.
Well, I mean, that's a way to hedge your your stance.
Well, because you have to look at it though. Like if he stays healthy, and with how good that Jets defense is,
Sure.
you don't need Aaron Rodgers to be the Aaron Rodgers of old to make the playoffs. Like that defense will keep you in pretty much every single game, and you probably just need 21 points to win most of those games. And Aaron Rodgers, even at 80%, can get you 21 points. So on that side of things, if he stays healthy, he's going to impact that team in a big way to the point where they probably can make the playoffs. But if he goes down with an injury again because their offensive line is still terrible, what options do you have behind him? Do you think Jordan Travis is ready to take that franchise over? He's probably not going to play this year because of that injury. Do you think you have anybody else behind him that can lead that team to the playoffs if he goes down?
No, I mean, not really. No, I don't think he's going to be MVP Rodgers for sure.
No, he doesn't have to be.
No, I figure he'll be the last year in Green Bay kind of Rodgers.
Yeah. And
Which
that's
wasn't
what he
great, but it was okay.
No. And if he does that with New York, this is the best defense top to bottom that he's ever played with. So, I mean, if he comes out and gives you 24, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, you're going to win a lot of those games with those kind of numbers with the Jets defense.
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, that's the way I feel about Pittsburgh or Cleveland or, if you just have adequate quarterback play, they're going to win some games because those defenses are awesome.
I agree. But that being said, it's going to be the defense that wins most of these games anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with
Rodgers.
Rodgers at all.
Yeah.
I think
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I think the Jets can win 10 games this year, and I think that if they do win 10 games, they're probably getting that 6 or 7 seed in the AFC. They're not going to win the division, I don't think, just because Miami's a better team, and even with the losses that Buffalo's had, Buffalo's still a better team than the Jets are. But I think the Jets still will win enough games to at least put themselves in a position to get that 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have the potential for it. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they landed in that spot. I do think they're probably only a wild card team, but their division, isn't as good as it's been the last couple of years.
And that's the key right there, because Buffalo's not going to be the Buffalo of old.
No.
You never know what you're going to get out of Miami because of their lack of a defense.
Exactly.
In New England, where they're going to still be 2 or 3 years away before they even are competitive again.
Yep.
The Jets theoretically could go 4-2 or 5-1 in that division. And if they go 5-1 in that division, they're pretty much putting themselves in a position to win that division, because if they play 500 football outside of their division, that's 10 wins basically.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think because of the way that their division took a step back, they have a shot to win it. I don't think they win their division, but they definitely will be in that mix, provided Rodgers stays healthy, obviously.
And then the bigger question with that is, not necessarily if the Jets fail to make the playoffs, because if they win 10 games and they fail to make the playoffs, then it is what it is. But if they go 7-10 or 8-9, does Robert Saleh come back next year?
Ooh, that's a good question. Man, probably not.
I think Robert Saleh was solely saved last year because Rodgers got hurt.
Oh, I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I think if they have Rodgers all year and they have a losing record, Saleh's gone.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
If they have a winning record and they don't make the playoffs, I think he will be on the hot seat pretty much right from the end of the season to the start of next season, where if they get off to a slow start in 2025, he'll probably be fired before the year's over.
Yeah, no, I could see that. Yeah. I mean, plus you run into that whole scenario where this is the final year of Rodgers' 2-year deal anyway.
Yep.
So then what is your plan? Like, if they underperform this year, Rodgers was there all year. Does he hang it up?
Mm-hmm.
Because then all of a sudden you just have bad tape, final year in Green Bay, missed the year injured, another year of bad tape. I mean, all of a sudden, do you just call it a career? Because now you're just hurting your own legacy at that point.
I mean, he doesn't have that much of a legacy anyways, in my opinion, because once he gets the NFC Championship game, he shits the bed. But
no, I mean,
especially against San Francisco.
Exactly. I mean, it was the Aaron Rodgers Invitational. They would just invite people to come play, and whoever played them was going to the Super Bowl.
Especially, the worst part was it was the Aaron Rodgers Invitational in Lambeau. So it's like, oh, we'll be here at Lambeau hosting the NFC title game. Who wants to come and beat us this year?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Even when they were cold, and they would still get beat.
Exactly. Yep. Even when they were accidentally,
even when they were accidentally good. Like the year that Tampa Bay beat them at Lambeau to go to the Super Bowl, the Packers were not supposed to be that good that year. That year they happened to be one of the healthiest teams in the NFL, where I think they only had 1 or 2 players that hit the injured list all season, and the rest of the year they were healthy. So they were accidentally good that year, and they got into the NFC title game, and Tampa Bay pretty much had to win on the road the entire way through the playoffs, and then they just got beat by Tampa Bay at Green Bay. And then the next year they were supposed to be good, and they were good, but then they let San Francisco come in and beat them because they can't play offense and they can't play special teams, and everyone wants to blame the special teams. And I sit back and I said, you were losing 13-9 to the 49ers. You had the ball in your hands with 3 minutes and 28 seconds left where you could have knocked the 49ers out. And what did you do? First down, you throw a 3-yard out to Devontae Adams, incomplete.
Yeah.
Second down, you throw a 3-yard out to Devontae Adams, and he catches it, so it's 3rd and 7. And then you throw a ball 50 yards downfield in a triple coverage, and your pass gets picked off. Well, of course, that's on you now.
Well, I mean, that's like the championship game against the Seahawks. They had them dead to rights with 4 minutes to go.
Then Mike McCarthy got cute and said, we're going to stop passing the ball and hand it to Fatty Lacey.
I mean, they did so much wrong in the last 4 minutes of that game.
That's one of those games where you look back and say, McCarthy was not trying to win that game. He was trying not to lose it.
You know, it's why I hate prevent defense. It is the one defense that makes me mad every time I see a team start to run it. Use the defense that has won you the game so far, because if you give any offense a rhythm, which that's all it does, is it gives you these short completions to build confidence back up, really.
The only time I'm okay with a team using a prevent defense is if you're up by 6 or 7 with less than a minute to go and the team's got to go 90 yards with no timeouts. Because at that point, you're just keeping everybody in front of you, because you know if they catch the ball in the field of play and can't get out of bounds, you're losing 15, 20 seconds for completion.
Yeah. I would want to be up 2 scores with a minute to go for me to want to run prevent. Because you give up chunks of yards. Yeah, you don't let them stop the clock, but you give up chunks of yards. So if you have a team that's really good at the 2-minute drill and hurry up to the line, like if you get a, situational coach that really dials in on that.
Yeah.
If you're within a score, some of your easiest scoring drives are from the 15 anyway, because it still gives you enough room for your guys to move around. So, I mean, all you got to do is connect on 3 plays and you're within range. And if you're playing defense or, prevent, your safeties have dropped way back. So, I mean, you're giving up 15 yards a pop. You only need 3 of those to get down the field. So I'm just not a fan of prevent. Like, even as a player, I was mad when they'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to run prevent. Even if you were up by a million, it's like, nah, just let us play defense. Because it's not like you can dial it back up, right? It would be like if you're at work and you start the day busy, right? And then you just have like this gap in the middle of your day where now you had lunch, you've been sitting around, and then right at the end of the day, they're like, okay, dial it back up and hustle. You're just like, yeah, that's cute. I'm not doing any of that.
No, I'm done in an hour. We're not doing any of that. We're good for the day.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep that busy all the way through and you're golden. But you take all those plays off, all of a sudden, all that rhythm that you guys had built up has now switched to the other side of the ball. Because now you're just conceding these things. You're playing loose coverage. And I mean, it's tough to get back into it, especially in football.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was watching something the other day. I'm changing it from football.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to women's basketball, actually.
Okay.
Because, why not talk about women's basketball?
Of course.
They were doing some type of Zoom interview with Angel Reese and a couple of her players, and there was somebody watching a porn.
Oh, seriously? That is amazing.
And they didn't turn the microphone off, so
one of the players was watching it?
No. They were doing an interview, and somebody who was interviewing them was like watching a porn in the background or something.
That
and
is
you could hear
That's amazing.
clear as day. And they were like, what the? Like, which is there's a to do all this different type of stuff. So it was kind of funny. It was just kind of funny to me.
That is amazing. I'll have to look that up. That sounds awesome.
That's a good way to get WNBA ratings up.
Exactly. So, but it was like Angel Reese there, and then 2 of her teammates, and they're like, "What?" they're like, "Oh my god!" And I think they finally muted that person, so it didn't get too crazy. But
could you imagine you're running a show, right? You have a production team, and someone, rather than just paying attention, is sitting there watching. First off, why are you in the production room just watching porn anyway?
Exactly.
That is amazing.
That's what you were getting at. He had a productive morning, then he got bored.
Fair enough. That tracks.
And then they wanted him to get busy at the end of the day with all these interviews. It's like, nope, not happening. We're not in the mindset anymore.
Yeah, that's right. Got to clear the mind. Maybe I can get back. Nope, it's a wrap. But I guess speaking on that, we got the early odds for Rookie of the Year, and no surprise is between these two, and the numbers are surprisingly similar. Obviously, Reese is the better rebounder. Clark, I honestly thought was going to have better numbers when it comes to points.
Well,
I
I mean,
think-
she's getting crushed.
She was getting crushed earlier in the year, but I think she's also showcasing that she is more of a scorer than what people gave her credit for.
Yeah, well, especially since Reese had it was a couple days ago, she had a 27-point game. So I mean, she had probably her best shooting night of the year.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they didn't put turnovers on this stat. That would have been interesting to see. I didn't look it up. But then, kind of a neat thing. Clark ends up with the first triple-double as a rookie. And then Reese has the all-time double-double record already. So for consecutive games with a double-double at 13. So, I mean, you're at least seeing what you were hoping to see out of these rookies. Them coming in and showing out with all the hype. It's good to see them making their mark on the league, I guess.
I agree. I mean, it's like obviously they should, there was a lot of hype coming into them. And really this is still their first year. Like I said, give them a break and then give them a chance to come out next year a little bit more refreshed. And who knows how things are going to go.
Is you see all these veterans that were talking all this crap about Caitlin Clark at the beginning of the year. Basically saying how she's going from college to the WNBA. It's like a different set of animals and like a different mindset, and they were kind of like making it seem like they were going to make her life a living hell. But now you see like the interviews with like Diana, and now you see the interviews with like Diana Taurasi, and now all they have is like nothing but respect for Caitlin Clark. And I think they're finally realizing like, we put this chick through the ringer. She took the beating that she took, and yet she's getting up. She's not complaining. She's not blaming a ref. She's not doing anything. She's just getting up and playing her game, and I think they all finally have the respect for her that she was probably just hoping for coming into the league.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely handled it a classy way, because it could have easily gone the other way with the way that she was getting beat up. Like, it would be easy to be complaining to refs, and not to say that it didn't happen, but I mean, you could definitely see an opportunity where she could have been just dishing blame out.
Yeah.
But, and then, obviously on the Reese side, because coming into this, you weren't thinking she was a very good shooter. And obviously of the two, she's not. But what we are seeing is, some validation between her comments of saying, hey, like, you got to pay attention to me. And, and you do, right? She has shown that she deserved the hype that she was getting.
And I always thought that she had a chance to be the better player in her rookie year based on how she plays. But I still think but I still think Caitlin Clark's going to have the better WNBA career. I just thought Angel Reese, being that she's a better rebounder, being that she's a lot more physical than what Caitlin Clark is as a player, I thought she could come in and have a better rookie year just because she doesn't rely on shooting as much as Caitlin Clark does. She relies on the second chance points, the rebounds, and a lot of the plays that you say that players don't like to get credit for. Like, she does all the little things well that a lot of people don't give credit for, versus Caitlin Clark is more of the flashy type of player.
Yeah, Clark is that true scorer type player, and Reese is more of a Charles Barkley.
I said when I was talking to my cousin about that the other day, I compared these two to like the NBA at one point. I said, Angel Reese is like the Michael Jordan of the WNBA in terms of like where she score, and do everything flashy. And then
Oh,
Angel Reese is like Dennis Rodman.
So I was making the Rodman comparison at first, but she scores too many points.
Yep.
Well, no, but but I'm just saying, like with the rebounding and just the way she is, kind of the attitude, kind of the demeanor she has, she's got like that Dennis Rodman feel to her. Because Dennis Rodman was that I don't give a shit type of player that didn't really care what you thought about him, and that's kind of the way that Angel Reese is like. I don't care if you think of me as the villain, I'll be the villain then.
Yeah, well, and that's actually why I kind of likened her to Chuck. Is he also kind of embraced that? I'm not a role model. He wasn't a flashy scorer, played decent defense, would go down and battle for boards. But, he scored more than Rodman. Rodman was definitely that extra guy. I think Reese is actually scoring more points than she should be just because Cardoza isn't doing what it seems like she should be doing. Because Cardoza should be getting some of these points that Reese is getting. We should actually see more assists from Reese than we are.
I think since Cardoza had that ankle injury at the beginning of the season, I still don't think she's 100% yet.
I mean, you're hoping not. Otherwise, that third pick is not great.
She does not look like herself this year. Like I was surprised they didn't just sit her for the whole year, being that she was the number 3 pick, being that she was a first round pick, because I didn't think she was going to be 100% at any point this year. And the way she's playing right now, you have to wonder if she's even close to being 100% this year, because she does not look like herself at all.
Yeah, I mean, or is that just a little bit slow getting up to speed with the pro level? Because you see that again through all leagues, right? Some players adapt to it quick and some take some time to marinate.
Yeah. Well, but again, coming from women's college basketball to the pro game and being injured is not going to, not practicing and then coming out and being rusty. I mean, I got to imagine there's a lot of that happens.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. But I mean, Cardoza's not exactly a finesse shooter either.
No,
I mean,
she was just like rebound putback. I don't think she made more than 10 shots outside of 10 feet last year. She may have made 1 3-pointer, but outside of that, it's like 10 feet and in is her range.
Yep.
Gotcha. And the other thing that I want to mention, just switching from that as we got like 10 minutes left. Any thoughts about Kyrie Jackson?
Oh, was this going to me?
Yeah, this one's to you. You're the Viking fan.
I honestly didn't know much about him. He was a 4th-round pick this year, and from all accounts, he did very well in rookie minicamp, and then he did really well in the OTAs, where Kevin O'Connell basically said he made the opening 53-man roster before they even announced it, basically saying you will be on special teams on this roster. But he also made it sound like he was going to have a much bigger role in the secondary than what I think people thought. Because when you look at the Vikings secondary room, you have Harrison Smith as your starting safety, obviously. Then you have Byron Murphy and Shaq Griffin as your 2 starting cornerbacks. But then outside of that, they didn't really know like who's going to be the backup cornerback, who's going to be the backup safety. From all accounts, Brian Flores loved the man and basically said that you have a potential to be basically our starting nickel cornerback. We're backing up Byron Murphy and Shaq Griffin. So he was practicing at a level where he was probably going to have a big role on the team this year.
That sucks.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like they were just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, he wasn't speeding. Alcohol was not a factor for him at all. I don't know if he was driving back to Minnesota from somewhere or what it was, but there was
I think he was the passenger also.
Yeah, there was an accident on the other side of the highway that he was on, and the car that got hit on the other side of the highway ended up going across the median and hitting their car. And it sent their car into the guardrail on their end of the sideway, on their end of the road, which is how they got hurt and basically died for Kyrie.
Yeah, well, and what they were saying that the girl that hit him was doing like 100 miles an hour.
Yep, the girl that hit him, the girl that caused the accident was doing like 105. She hit another car in the back end at like 85, which is what kind of spun those 2 cars out. So essentially, their car got hit by basically a spinning car at like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's rough.
So it's like one of those incidents where they didn't even do anything wrong. They were just driving to wherever they were trying to get to.
Yeah, that sucks. There was like 3 guys in the car. They were all,
Yep.
yeah, the one guy had gotten drafted. The other 2 had not, but
Yep.
I think they all went
I don't
to
know.
Maryland.
Yeah, I don't know if all 3 died or not.
All 3 died.
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
I knew
and
two-
it
I
sounds
knew
like
two
she
of them-
walked away.
I know 2 of them died at the scene. I wasn't sure if the third one did too.
Lofton was 24. Hazel was 23. So yes, all 3. Jackson and Hazel died at the scene, while Litton was pronounced dead at the hospital
Okay. So I knew Jackson and one of the other ones died at the scene. I didn't
in
know the
Maryland.
other one.
This was all in
Yeah.
Maryland. So
Okay.
Well,
I
and
didn't know-
she ended up with like minimal injuries.
Yeah.
Somehow.
For now, until she goes.
'Cause
to
that's the way it
prison,
works.
a lot more.
Oh, every time. Every time.
For now, until she ends up in prison and gets a lot more injuries.
Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're going down for, taking out 3 people.
Vehicular manslaughter she'll go down for, and then whatever
sweet.
else they want to charge her for.
Yeah. Yeah. But those will be the big 3, right? Because she'll have 3
Yeah.
counts of it. So, I mean,
Yeah,
even if she gets a kind of light sentencing, that's probably 40 years.
It's 30, because I think a vehicular manslaughter, I think it's minimum 10 per count, so that's 30-year count.
Yeah. And then whatever else they
Yeah.
tack onto it. So, yeah. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's a shame. It really is a shame. But I wanted to bring it up because obviously that happened a couple days ago, and we hadn't had a chance to talk about it at all.
Yeah, and I know Minnesota's not having any team meetings or any practices until Thursday. I believe the visitation for Kyrie is tomorrow, I believe. I think his funeral's Wednesday, so they're letting the team kind of go to all those activities first before they pick things back up.
Got you.
Yeah.
And the only other thing I wanted to mention to you, since I know that you could talk about this, is Crosby is coming up on a new contract. They're going to sign him for a new contract at 37 years old. Still the top point getter on a team. How long would you sign him for, and for how much?
it's got to be short. I mean, right? That's. Oh, I think.
Are you not? Oh, he did freeze.
Oh, I got it.
There you go.
I had a
You're
phone
back.
call come in. I had
Oh,
a phone
phone
call
call.
come in, and it muted the mic on my phone. So yeah, going back on Crosby, 37 years old, more power to him. I don't know if I would have given him another contract, but
He hasn't signed yet. They're going to give him another contract. He's got 1 year left at $8.9 million or something like that.
yeah. Did they say what the contract is supposed to be in terms of AAV?
No, they don't. He's
Okay.
going to. It's an $8.7 million contract he's got right now.
Okay.
They haven't. He's coming up on a new contract. If you are the Penguins, what would you sign him for?
I would not give him more. I would not give him more than what he's making now. Obviously,
Well, that's what I was thinking. You give him something similar and like a 2-year.
I would be okay doing 3 at 7, and then incentive base it, where he can essentially make more based on how many points he gets, based on how many games he plays.
Well,
But
in different in the NHL in comparison to anywhere else.
Yeah.
If you incentivize it, they cost that much on the cap.
Yeah.
So even if he doesn't hit those numbers, you still have to account for that in the cap.
Yeah.
So
I would do 3 at 7 per is what I would do. Lock him up till he's 40. $7 million per year is a little bit of a pay cut, which he should expect at 38 years old next year. He's not going to be playing at the level that he did 10 years ago, 6 years ago even. But even at $7 million per year, he's still going to be one of the higher paid centers in the NHL.
Well, and if he's still leading your team,
Yeah.
it's hard not to sign him. You got to sign him.
And that's like what the Red Wings did with Patrick Kane, where I'm honestly surprised Patrick Kane took the contract. Patrick Kane said he was looking for a 2, maybe a 3-year deal after the way he played with Detroit last year, and Detroit gave him a 1-year, $4 million deal with incentives where it can turn out to be a 1-year, $7 million deal, and Patrick Kane took the deal.
I mean, that just means his phone wasn't ringing.
Well, no,
Or he doesn't want to move.
that's I feel like that's a sign for for trade. He
Oh,
is keeping the
sign and trade.
numbers at a very specific way, so that if by chance that the Red Wings are not in it and are sellers, that cap number is transferable to a team who is going to have a cup run.
No, that's true.
So that's what that sounds like to me. At $4 million with the incentives up to $7 million. Because like I said, you have to have the cap up to $7 million because of that. You can't, he's a $7 million cap hit, even though you're only paying him $4 million. So,
and with Detroit having some of the most cap space in the NHL, I wasn't surprised that they gave him the incentive-based deal, but he basically made it sound like he wanted that multi-year deal because he plans to retire, he said, after this next contract. But if it's a 1-year deal, I don't see him retiring after a 1-year deal.
No, I don't see him retiring at all. In fact, I see him getting traded because I don't see Detroit being strong enough to get into the top 16.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out if the Flyers are going to be strong enough now with Michkov. I hope he's really as advertised. Because as of right now, I still, just because we have one guy who can put the puck in the net does not mean if we have a guy who all of a sudden can get even a point a game, that we were talking about this, that how much should we sign him for? Like how much is Konechny worth? He was trying to get $9 million a year. And I'm like, no way. I would say have him be like a $6.5 million a year. And let's start getting at least a point a game. You had 68 points last year. Get 82 points. That's 14 points difference.
Yep.
If you get a point a game, we'll give you an extra $1 million incentive. That's how I would do it. But I don't know. That's all I've got on hockey. Hockey doesn't start until October, so.
Yeah, and our team has a lot of question marks. So
your team actually added a lot of pieces though too. The first couple of days of free agency, it made a couple nice trades.
No, but that's what I mean. Is there's just a lot of new pieces, new coach. Even it's going to be interesting to see how this starts to shape up. They were active though.
Yeah, we added a bunch of washed up goalies, and we added Vladimir Tarasenko. Who ironically is who I wanted the Red Wings to trade for at the deadline last year, but I guess they felt like we'll just sign him as a free agent instead of trading for him. It makes more sense.
Washed up goalies always makes you feel good.
Hey, we got 37-year-old Cam we got 37-year-old Cam Talbot who did not play that bad last year, but he's still 37. And then we took Jack Campbell from Edmonton, who didn't play at all really this year in Edmonton, but when he was playing in the AHL, he had a pretty good year this year in the AHL.
Well, you also got Gage Alexander now as your goalie, one of the goalies.
Yeah.
Which is he sucks.
We still have Ville Husso under contract, so maybe he figured out how to stay healthy this year.
Yeah, it's amazing how many are still left on the market. Like there's still a lot of free agents left on the market.
Yeah.
One of them being Van Riemsdyk. I don't know that he'll ever play for another team again. I guess somebody will sign him for $1 million, but
yeah, I mean,
fourth liner now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think Daniel Sprong's still out there too.
But that gets us to the top of the hour. If you're watching here on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Obviously, if you are on any of our YouTube channels, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring content to you. Other than that, we will see you tomorrow morning.
Take care.